and sing to you this song. Please take me to the King. Whoa. Truth is, it's time to stop playing these games. We need a word for the people's pain. So Lord, speak right now. Let it pour like rain. Oh yeah, we're desperate. We're chasing after you. Oh, no rules, no religion. I've made my decision to run to you, the healer that I need. Take me to the King. Don't have much to bring. My heart's torn to pieces. It's my offering. Lay me at the throne. Leave me there alone to gaze upon your glory and to sing to you this song. Lord, we're in the way. We keep making mistakes. Glory's not for us, it's all for you. Come on. Take me to the King. I don't have much to bring. My heart's torn to pieces. It's my offering. Leave me there. I wanna gaze upon your glory. Sing to you, to sing to you this song. Take me to the King. Take me to the King. Take me to the King.
102.3 KJLH Compton, Los Angeles, and worldwide using the radio-free KJLH mobile app.
The views and opinions expressed during this program are those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or positions of the station or its management.
This is Election Talk. Election Talk with attorney Carrie Harper on Radio Free 102.3 KJLH.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. If it's Tuesday, if it's 0 dark 30, then it's Election Talk with me, Carrie Harper. I'm a local civil rights attorney, and we are at it again. We have 2 judicial candidates coming in that are already here in the studio. But before we get to the judicial candidates, let's talk about that empowering Democratic convention. If you didn't see it, you should go to YouTube and download it and look at it, because Michelle Obama, Oprah, President Obama, everybody and their mother came out and spoke, and they were wonderful. We had Hillary Clinton early on saying, hey, this is our time. This is when we stand up. Ashley Biden, daughter of Joe Biden, gave a wonderful tribute to her dad. And one of the things I like most about what Michelle Obama said, just going back, she said that warm feeling that we're feeling again, that's hope making a comeback. And it's true, because about 6 weeks ago, I don't know about you all, but I may have been daytime drinking after the debate between Joe Biden and I don't even want to say his name, the other guy. Okay, I'll say his name, former President Trump. But Michelle Obama just really embodied everything that we wanted to hear, we needed to hear. She said no one has a monopoly on what it means to be an American. And she told the truth, too, about a few things, about everything she said. Most of us will never be afforded the grace of failing forward. I think about that for a second, because when most of us fail, we don't fail forward. We don't have daddy's arms to pick us up and dust us off and put it in after we file bankruptcy 2 or 3 times. But anyway, I'm not being biased. I'm just saying what the record says about what happened to President Trump in his prior business dealings. So she was inspirational, and we had so many familiar faces in the audience. They were enjoying things. They were having a good time, and it was much needed. So what I asked my friend and civil rights activist to call in this morning. You know him, unfortunately, from the untimely death of his brother. On May 26, 2020, Philonise Floyd learned that his older brother, George Floyd Jr., had been murdered by 4 police officers in Minneapolis after a store clerk allegedly said he passed a $20 bill that was counterfeit. The world watched as Derek Chauvin knelt on Floyd's neck for over 8-9 minutes, and across America, Mr. Floyd's death sparked a worldwide outpour of protests against police brutality, especially toward black folks. The day that Philonise Floyd laid his brother George to rest on June 10, 2020, Philonise testified at the United States Congress, urging them to do the right thing by passing the Justice in Police Act of 2020, barring chokeholds, creating a registry to track officers with serious misconduct records, which we really need. So, good morning, Mr. Floyd. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm okay. I'm happy to be here. It's a pleasure. And I just want to just let everybody in L.A. know that we're going through some times and we need to be listening right now, because right now everything is dependent on our freedom. How
did you feel being at that DNC last week, the convention?
Oh, my God. It was wonderful. You got to see so many people that were, when I say extremely, they were happy. They were together as one, no matter the culture, the race, the nationality. They all were in there, and they all were in there for the same reason, because they want freedom, and they do not want nobody controlling them. They want to be able to stand up and be able to be leaders, just like the president who don't want us to be leaders.
Mm-hmm. Now, we were on Election Talk with another delegate, Michelle Chambers, and we were speculating as to which possible pick Vice President Harris would choose. Neither one of us got it right. I thought it would be the astronaut, and I think Councilwoman Chambers thought it would be, Mr. Shapiro. And then breaking on CNN, they announced your former governor, Governor Walz, yes?
Yeah, I was ecstatic. I got excited when they announced him, because a lot of people don't know that this man had a good heart, and he still has a good heart. He's in the place that he needs to be, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have got accountability for my brother. They would have put somebody in place like they always do, and they sweep stuff up under the rug. But what he did, he said, when everything was going on, he did not allow the National Guard or anybody to just go out and harm the citizens, because he knew what we were going through, because people were being murdered at a rate. But I just don't understand why we were being murdered like Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, my brother, Sandra Bland. I can just keep naming people over and over and over again. But the fact that Keith Ellison was put in place, and when he appointed Keith Ellison had a team together, and they went and fought for what we've been trying to do for centuries, get accountability, and we finally got accountability, and that right there made an uproar for so many Americans around the world, because everybody seen my brother when he was murdered. It was a motion cinema picture, and it was in 4K, and not only adults seen it, when Darnella Frazier recorded it, kids seen it. And how can you explain that to your kids, what you seen?
You can't. And so he did his best, and he put the right prosecutor in place, and Chauvin was eventually sentenced, convicted, found guilty and convicted, and he's now serving a very long sentence in custody, correct?
Yes, ma'am. The fact that all of those officers needed to be convicted because they all did it together. And if you want to have a gang and do things like that to people, why do you even need to be a police officer? You are getting paid by the people who give their tax dollars up to you to make sure that you keep them safe. But what people seen, they didn't see anything but a man standing on my brother's neck, kneeling on it, and he looked like a big game hunter. So how many people are doing that all around the world that you don't see? That's the problem I'm having right now.
How do you think it would pan? How do you think the act that didn't get passed would pan out with a possible President Harris? Do you think that would get over the hump this time?
I think it would get over the hump. You know, she's fighting for freedom. She's fighting for our rights. She's fighting for everything that our ancestors fought for that they're trying to take away from us. We need her in, but we need to get out and vote. And everybody needs to get off the couch. Don't sit there. Just like she said, get up and do something. Because anytime you're sitting on the couch, you're giving Trump all the leverage. You're giving the carrot man. You're giving carrot top. Like President Joe Biden said, Donald Duck. You're giving whoever it is all what he needs. And the problem still stands. If you all don't get out, how can we win the House? How can we win the Senate? And we need to get Kamala in because we need to have an understanding that we are making history. This will be the first black woman president, and she stands for freedom, opportunity, compassion, dignity, and fairness. And until people realize that Karen Bass and Sheila Jackson Lee, the Congresswoman then, they was out fighting for this, and they couldn't get it passed. Now we got the opportunity to let Kamala get out there and pack this big punch, and she can get out there and lay down what we needed. Because Tupac said it a long time ago, God don't like ugly, and it was written. And y'all need to get out and focus on that and get out and vote.
So to the folks who think that they might stay home, you would tell them to get out and vote, and you quoted Michelle Obama, get out and do something, right?
Yeah, they need to get out and do something. They don't need to be on the vote. They don't need to be on the couch. What they need to have an understanding that you are electing a dictator if you go out there and vote for this man. Because, put it this way, they need to have an understanding that he is going to be your pimp, but they don't know. They don't know what Project 25 is. Project 25 has a lot of things in there. He don't like people that's African American. He don't like people, period, of color. He don't like foreigners. His wife is a foreigner. I don't have that understanding why he don't like the LGBTQ. He say all kind of things. And me as a person, how could you say a lot of these things? He don't think women should have the right to have abortions. He want to take all that away from you all. So once again, if people don't have an understanding of what's going on, just know that you're going to have a dictator, which is Carrot Top, and he's going to be your pimp, and he's going to be your hoe. And I'm going to say it again, he's going to be your pimp, and he's going to be your hoe.
Oh,
and you better get out because he overturned Robbie Wade, too.
Roe v. Wade, yes.
Roe v. Wade with the three supremacists and judges.
Yeah, he did. He's appointed or nominated 3 Supreme Court judges, and a lot of folks would say he stole 2 of those seats, but we're going to move forward. Would you mind staying online in case we take some calls at the end of the hour?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're going to hop into the judicial candidates because a lot of these things come down to the judges. I like to say it's all about the judges, but when you have a dispute, it ends up with the judges, and a lot of folks close their eyes and check a box, and they really do not know who the judges are. So we, meaning KGLH and the wonderful Stevie Wonder, want to educate the folks about the judges, and what better way than to invite them in. We're offering equal time to any and all judicial candidates. So now we are going to speak with the opponent of one of the candidates we had in last week. You'll recall we had George Turner Jr. in last week, and he spoke about being in the unit. Well, you can pull the podcast up to get his side, but we'll speak with his opponent, Stephen Napolitano, who's running for seat 39. Mr. Napolitano was a 5-time Manhattan Beach mayor/council member. He's been an attorney for 30 plus years. And 25. Okay, I gave you an extra 5. An administrative hearing officer for cities and counties throughout the state. Good morning, Mr. Napolitano. Thanks for coming in. Am I butchering your name?
No, you're saying it perfectly. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me in.
I appreciate you coming in. You survived the primaries. That was kind of rough, right?
I did. Judicial races are just different, like you said, and they are so important, like you said as well. And what part of this campaign that I'm trying to get out to folks is that judges matter. I think over the last couple of years, certainly people have seen from the Supreme Court down to the Superior Court how much judges can affect their daily lives.
Yes, that's true. Now, you've been it says mayor/council member for Manhattan Beach, yes?
Yes, and mayor's a rotating position, so you're elected to city council. I've been on there 5 terms now, served actually 6 terms as mayor, but I've been there. I was 92 to 2005, and I was 12 years with Supervisor Don Kanabe as his senior deputy in his office, serving communities throughout LA County. And then I returned to council in 2017, and now I'm wrapping up my 5th term, second consecutive now, from 2017 to 2020. 2024, I'm termed out.
So you're in a unique position that's unlike the candidates that we've spoken with in the past couple of weeks, because most of them are either public defenders or district attorney, deputy district attorneys.
I am not your traditional candidate, and I think that's a good thing. Certainly, we've got lots of prosecutors as judges, and now we've got public defenders as judges. And I'm saying that we need folks with more diverse backgrounds than just that, too, because that informs decision-making. And for myself, as a nearly 25-year attorney, as an administrative law judge, hearing officer for cities and counties, 30 years in public service throughout LA County, I bring a different perspective than just doing one thing or another for several years. And one of those things is like I said, having that experience and knowing our communities, what the expectations are there, what their hopes are, and how to serve the people here for the last 30 years.
And when you say you bring diversity to this race, tell me, other than serving in Manhattan Beach, do you do anything else in any other parts of the county, or is it just South Bay?
As I said, I was senior deputy to Supervisor Kanabe. I was all across LA County, and still as a council member for Manhattan Beach, we work with cities throughout LA County together to advocate on behalf of different communities, and which include, of course, communities of color. And also 99% of my clients as a parole attorney, I work as a parole attorney. So I get the folks out that the public defenders couldn't keep from going in. And so I work with 99% of those folks are black and brown. And so in terms of diversity of experience, what I'm putting out there is the fact that I'm also a decision maker, not just an advocate for one side or another. I'm an advocate for my clients as a parole attorney, as an administrative law judge and hearing officer. I am a decision maker. As a council member, I'm a decision maker. So that's the diversity of experience and background. In terms of experience of representing communities of color, that's what I do. I do that on a daily basis with my clients.
Okay, so as a council member, there's not a huge black population in Manhattan Beach, correct?
No. As I said, though, I work with other communities. I work very closely with communities of color throughout LA County on issues that matter to all of us, issues of housing, issues of crime, issues of homelessness.
Sure. Now, tell me, you said most of the clients that you have that you represent on the parole board are folks of color. However, they're in the minority. Why do you think so many folks of color make up such a large population in custody? Why is that?
I think it's the laws. The laws that were passed in the 90s, the so-called Get Tough on Crime laws that were passed in the 90s, that incarcerated more folks. And that led to, there are potential biases from that time as well. The drug crimes that were prosecuted at that time and the sentences that went along with the mandatory sentences, that expanded the number of black and brown folks incarcerated. And so I think the pendulum's swinging back the other way, but then you have to find a middle ground there. And so, but the folks that I deal with, the lifers, for the most part, they're in prison for 15, 25 years for some of these things. And so I work with them to prepare them for their parole hearing, make sure they're taking the classes, the education, the anger management courses, the addiction courses, the mental health treatment that they need. I get them ready. I make sure that, and if they're not ready, I work with them on options on how they can improve their chances to get out the next time. And if not, then we go forward with the hearing. We appear before the judges at the parole panel, and I advocate on their behalf and work to get them out and get them second chances at life.
Good. Well, why do you want to leave that work? It seems like it's really worthwhile. Just got a little tired of it?
No, not tired at all. I love my job, but I also, again, at the end of last year, I was looking at new pathways, especially being termed out of city council. And I was thinking, how can I bring everything together? I've spent 30 years of my life making a difference in the communities of LA County. And I was thinking, how can I bring all my knowledge on the policy side of things, the legislative side of things, of working with folks, of working on issues of homelessness and working on issues of crime and housing and other matters. How can I bring that together with my legal career? And how can I bring with advocating for folks, getting them ready and giving people second chances and putting them on the right path? How can I bring that together? And I kept coming back to judge.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a powerful position. Tell me your thoughts. You mentioned homelessness. What are your thoughts about Governor Gavin Newsom kind of coming to LA and cleaning out some of the homeless encampments and having a real firm stance? Not mentioning our mayor by name, but implying that LA is not going to get money if they don't clean up.
Right, and that's a decision that came out of the Grants Pass decision of the Supreme Court and said, you can come in and clean things up, and you can cite and you can put people in jail if they are violating the codes of the city. And yes, Mr. Newsom, Governor Newsom, has taken a progressive, or I'll say, a position that he wants things happening yesterday. There might be some politics at play in that, and that's understood. But how I feel about it, each community has to make their decisions and what's right for them. We don't want to criminalize homelessness, but we also want to make sure that it's safe for people to walk down the street unimpeded on sidewalks, have access to the schools, kids walking by, elderly. We want to keep everybody safe. That includes the homeless. And in Manhattan Beach, we have had real success in getting people off the streets who come in homeless. We have had transients come and go. We always have had a certain amount, but we do a very vigorous outreach, try and get them into services and into housing, because it doesn't serve anyone to keep people in the streets.
So you mentioned that you get folks out on the parole panel when you represent them. What do you feel about not Gavin Gascon, but George Gascon's directives as they apply to the enhancements that he kind of took away from the prosecutors as a hammer? Any thoughts about those?
Well, I think that Mr. Gascon, I think some of the things he did by making just blanket policies on either the prosecution of misdemeanors or other matters, I think that you can't do a one-size-fits-all approach to crime. Crime is a case-by-case basis. And so when you talk about enhancements and things like that, the bigger problem that I've had and experienced with my clients is that a lot of them were just forced to take a plea.
Yes.
Or they felt forced to take a plea.
Yes.
And so the enhancements didn't matter as much as the public defender or the prosecutor said, okay, many of these cases settle and many go to plea and they don't go to trial. And when but the defendant is sitting there saying, well, geez, they're threatening me with 30 years in prison, or I can take 15. I'll take the 15, even though they either maybe weren't guilty or they could have faced a lesser sentence or a lesser charge. And so, I think a lot of people were caught up in that. I don't think that necessarily everyone, the folks that I represent, they never complain about the judge being too harsh on them. They complain about being forced to take a plea that they didn't feel was fair or should have been applied to them.
Now, did you mean to say the enhancements didn't matter or that they did matter? Because most folks were taking that plea because they were facing enhancements.
Yes. No, in that sense, they did matter, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they were faced with additional sentencing because of the enhancements. In terms of saying that this enhancement, again, it's a case-by-case basis. I think it's where appropriate. I don't think that enhancements should apply in every case, but should they apply in some cases? Sure.
Right. So you support Gascon's directives that he implemented?
What's that?
You support the directives that Gascon implemented?
No, I don't support Mr. Gascon's directives. I think that to say his directives were more than just that one thing, by the way. And so when you say his directives, on the whole, I don't. I think, again, a one-size approach to crime does not serve anyone well.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes would you think that you have to, when you have a ship so far out of whack, you might have to do some drastic measures to right that ship, and then it may be some rocky waters here and there. But listen, it was going way far for a long time, and maybe he, meaning Gascon, had to come in and do some things that the voters wanted, actually.
And that's why I said earlier in terms of the pendulum swinging, right? The pendulum swung too far one way and then it swings too far to the other way. And I think that the reaction to Mr. Gascon, his polling, and some of the initiatives that are out there right now are meant to address the swings from one to the end. I'm still looking to find that balance in the middle. As judge, that's what I feel is important, is balance. I think that approaching things, again, I think that's the benefit of experience where you're not just advocating for one side or another. You've been a decision maker that can see both sides of things and make the appropriate decision for that case. Cases are individual. You're not making a blanket decision as a judge on all cases. They're one by one. Every person is an individual. Every situation is different. And that's what I'm bringing to this, is a balanced approach, pragmatic approach.
And what would you say your biggest gift is to the bench? What would you say that would be to the voters? Why should they choose you?
Again, that balance, the pragmatic approach I have based on the experience. My experience informs me on many sides, not just one side or another.
Okay. Well, I'd like to know some of your thoughts about, there are some propositions, some hot button. I saw that too, some hot button.
Yes, there's something flying around me right now.
Well, he loves the way you smell. Okay, so Proposition 36, we talked about it a little bit last week, and we've seen a little bit in the news about it. Any thoughts about Proposition 36, maybe kind of supplementing 47?
Well, again, as the ethics of the judicial campaign, right? Carrie, as an attorney, judicial candidates can't take positions on things because that would implicate bias. And so, as I've said over and over now, that law is a case-by-case basis. And in terms of Proposition 36, that is a proposition for the people, and they're going to make their decision on whether they think that reform has gone too far one way or too far another. And, some folks certainly are tired of having to ask for an attendant to open up the case to buy shampoo because there's smash and grabs. And, are these things being heightened by social media? Is it more? Is it less? That's for folks to say. That's what campaigns are for.
True enough. And Canon 5, which is what you're referencing, would be you can't comment on things that are likely to come before you as a judge if you're so blessed to be appointed or elected to the bench.
Correct.
I was just thinking proposition isn't really coming before you, so I thought I'd get that. But it took almost 13 minutes for you to talk about Canon 5, right?
I do what I can.
Okay, so I won't push you on that one. Anything else that you'd like the listeners to know about you and your campaign?
I appreciate your time. I hope everyone goes to my website, stevenapolitano.com, so that they can compare and contrast all the candidates. Again, what I'm bringing is a diversity of background, diversity of thought and experience to what I plan to do in being on the bench. Again, it's not doing one thing or another. It's having experience as a decision maker, having experience with our communities in LA County and communities across California, and bring that experience as an attorney, administrative law judge, and elected official to the bench.
Well, I so appreciate you, and I'm extending a long handshake. I can't quite reach you, but you get the feeling. I appreciate you coming in so early in the morning. You didn't even complain about that part.
I tried to.
You
remember.
I did. I did remember that.
And you said, but everybody has to do it.
I wasn't going to tell you.
Here I am.
You told on yourself.
So hopefully I'm awake enough people can understand what I'm saying.
Well, we see that you're honest because you told on yourself just now.
I did.
Would you mind sticking around if we take some calls later on the hour?
Happy to.
Okay, so we'll take a break, and then we're going to set up with the next judicial candidate. That's going to be LaShae Henderson. And we're breaking now on KJLH 102.3 FM. We are you.
Hey, family, what's up? I'm Lon McHugh. Join me Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Listen, I've got the perfect music for work and play, no matter where you are. The KJLH Radio Free mobile app. I'll keep you informed with what's trending. I'll update your traffic and weather scenes. And man, when you call, all the fun really jumps off at 520-KJLH.
Are you giving away something?
No.
Oh.
It's like, okay, bye. So, yeah, make it a plan with me, Lon McHugh, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. right here on Radio Free 102.3 KJLH.
We are the lions, we are the warriors, we are the kings. We learned our power, held our head high, and spread our wings. We wear the crown, fight through the pain, live out our dreams. We learn we stronger when we together, we building teams. We building finance, we learning health now. Healthy relationships and mentorships, we trying to help out. You got the pillars of success, then you can write your check out. We mobilizing black men and won't no man get left out. Yeah, hey, free for all your brothers, all the sons and all the fathers. Go ahead and sign up now, we get you in and get you started. We calling all the black men out in Southern California. Set the stage for transformation, then we grow the movement larger. It's time to rise and shine and redefine the future's close. Knowledge is power and strength is love, we need them both. And this a step toward the change we know we need the most. It's KJLH Men's Empowerment, go ahead and tell your folks. It's the black print, every step we make we leave a trace. It's the black print, gotta stick together, they ain't playing fair. It's the black print, when you a man of impact then you gotta win. We the strong, we the bold, this is Men's Empowerment.
Black print. Calling out all men of impact. Meet us at the Men's Empowerment Summit, Saturday, September 14th at Cal State Dominguez Hills. Free for all. More details at KJLHradio.com. KJLH Men's Empowerment Summit 2024 in partnership with Cal State Dominguez Hills and Senator Steve Bradford.
I am sick and tired of getting the runaround from the dealer about my Lexus. I feel like I'm always being overcharged for my car repairs.
You should try Lex Service. They're a full-service repair and maintenance shop that specializes in Japanese vehicles, just like yours. Lex Service provides 5-star service at much better prices than dealerships, and they're conveniently located right here in the South Bay.
Lex Service, experts in Lexus, Toyota, Acura, Honda, Infiniti, and more.
I trust them. They have amazing Yelp reviews, and they treat you like family. Give them a call.
It sounds like you really trust them.
Yeah, I do. The reason Lex Service works for me is they've always provided honest advice about my vehicles and never treat me differently just because I'm a woman.
Call them today at 310-517-0294. Ask about their $49.99 minor maintenance service.
Contact these guys by texting the word Lexus to 313131. That's right. Text the word Lexus to 313131. If you want to call, it's 310-517-0294.
What's up, Southern California? This is Guy Black. I'd love for you to join me every Saturday from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. We have all the fun. We play all your favorite throwbacks. And at 11 a.m., it's Guy Black's Battle Royale. I don't care who wins the battle. I just want to play all this good music.
I'm loving your show, Guy Black.
And I appreciate you. Join me Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I love you, and I love my job.
It's the Guy Black Show.
Hey, everybody, I'm Andre Russell, and you can join me every Sunday from 12 noon to 7 p.m. for Spread the Word. Get your praise on with some of the greatest gospel artists in the world. It's Bible Jeopardy, free gas cards, free tickets, and praising the Lord every Sunday from 12 to 7 on Spread the Word. And don't forget, 102.3 KJLH. Have church with us every Sunday on Spread the Word.
You're listening to Election Talk with attorney Kerry Harper on Radio Free 102.3 KJLH.
Okay, we're back. If it's Tuesday, we're at Election Talk. Up into the election, we want you to vote. While the deadline to register might be October, at the end of October, I say if you miss that deadline, vote anyway. It will be a conditional ballot, but still do it. If you think you have a little felony situation, still vote. Ask for a conditional ballot, because if you've fulfilled your debt to society, then you're right to vote has been reinstated, and you can vote against or for someone who has a felony, 34 of them. Next up, we have LaShae Henderson, who's running for seat 97 for the Los Angeles Superior Court. We had her opponent here on the first show, Sharon Ransom, who is a deputy public defender. Now, Miss LaShae Henderson is one of the Justice Leagues. What is it called, Miss Henderson? Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. So originally I was campaigning with the Defenders of Justice, and after the primary, I decided to campaign on my own, but we are supporting one another. We're a team, and you know, I love them, and I just decided I wanted to do some things differently and campaign on my own, but we both support each other, and I'm excited for them, and we still all have the same passion for justice.
Now, you've been a lawyer over 25 years.
For 18, well, let's say 19 years, and then I was a public defender for 18 years.
Yes. Now, but you are not a public defender anymore. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
So in between winning the primary and coming here today, you decided to leave the public defender's office?
No, I resigned in 2023. And I am an adjunct professor at Pepperdine. And I also work with churches. I do consultations. I do coaching for youth. And I work in the community. So I do a little bit of everything. But I left before I had started campaigning.
Okay, so on the ballot, though, it says Deputy Public Defender.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because my resignation was in 2023. And according to the rules, if you retire at a certain period of time, you can still use that particular title. And the majority of my career was with the Public Defender's Office. So I feel like it accurately represents my work, my passion, and what I've done over the years.
Okay, so why did you leave the Public Defender's Office?
Well, because I wanted to expand. You know, I worked in that office for many years, enjoyed it, and it's just a wonderful thing to be able to step out on your own and expand what you're doing. So that's why I decided.
It's a little bit risky, a little like jumping the shark, like mid-campaign to say, okay, psych, I'm not really doing that job that I had on the ballot. I'm doing something different, no?
Well, no, I feel like on my website, every time I talk to people, I'm very transparent about the fact that I was a public defender for 18 years, what I'm doing now, that I love working with students, so that I work in the community. So I'm very transparent about that. And it's on my website, so anyone can look on my website and find out what I'm doing right now. And I've always been transparent about my journey.
Okay. And the singing. Now, let's talk about the voicemail. You know, during the primaries, I made just a little bit of fun out of your public. It's a public outgoing voicemail message,
yes,
right?
It is.
Anybody can call.
Yes.
What is your number? That's public. You said it was public, right? Or no? You don't have to give it if you don't want to.
I gave it to you.
Oh, okay. My bad. I was getting ready to blow it up, too.
No.
Maybe we could just call it, because you are, in fact, singing My Little Sunshine on your outgoing voicemail message.
Yes. It's to encourage people. You know, I think positivity is important, and reminding people to smile.
I was smiling the first time I called, but when it took me a few times to get through to you and I had to listen to it no, I'm just kidding.
My family complains about that. They're like, your messages are too long.
You really want to make people feel better. You're going to beat them into submission. What do you think you're going to bring to the bench? You're going to bring this levity to the bench? And
yes. Well, you know, what's important to me, you know, as a public defender, I have seen cases where judges miss the mark. They, you know, are so focused on the law and how they see an individual that they don't take the time sometimes to analyze who's in front of them. And I want to move from people being a number in the system to being a human being and look at their story. You know, they have something in the law called mitigation, where you look at the person's background and you weigh out what cases they have had in the past. If they have any record at all, do they qualify for any programs? Do they qualify for early dismissal or expungement or something that would benefit them in the future. So the goal is to motivate people to change. And I won't be cracking any jokes up there, but I will be inspiring people to make a change, that they're important, that they're valuable, and that their story matters. And when you treat people with value, they respond differently.
And it's okay to crack a few jokes, right?
I mean
not
a few,
when you're
but
sending them to jail for life. But
right, not anything serious, but I can be lighthearted when the right time comes.
Right, and we're 70 days till the election. And if anyone wants to call in and speak with any of the judicial candidates we have on today or any Tuesday, you can call 310-520-KGLH, 310-520-KGLH. So with regard to your prior career at the public defender's office, what section were you in?
Oh, I did many things. I've represented people with misdemeanors, charged with felonies. I've done civil contempt cases. I've also worked on racial justice motions. I have done, juvenile court, which I love. I love working with the kids because you get the opportunity to mentor, speak into their lives, and also help them make a change and hopefully shape them for the future.
And you can see the results of it sometimes, right?
Yes, absolutely. And they respond well to it. You know, so a lot of times you're giving out advice to parents, to children, and people want to make a change. They're nervous, they're scared, and it's an opportunity for them to turn things around. I've seen parents come in who haven't been taking their kids to school, and once they see that their child is being charged with a 601 charge or 602.
Tell the folks what 601 is.
601 is when your child hasn't been attending school. And so they have to come into court and explain why. And so the judge will put the case over and track whether the kid is going to school, what's going on at home, provide services. And if they do well, usually the case gets dismissed.
Okay. And the 602?
602 refers more to when a child is placed home on probation. So they would actually be charged with an actual offense, like vandalism, theft, one of those cases. And if they're put on probation, then they're considered 602.
And what do you feel the biggest problem with the justice system is now currently?
Wow. I think that, well, here's the thing. We've made strides as far as the laws. So the laws are better. I think now we have to remember to incorporate change in our cases and make sure that people have opportunities to rehabilitate and that we're not just focused on sentencing or harshness, but on helping people get their life back on track. So I think it's important. I think we need more sensitivity, more diversity in the bench, and we need people that really care about the communities and are focused on rebuilding and connecting people together. You know, I want to see more community involvement. I want to see, there's a lot of pastors who can mentor. There's a lot of groups that are already doing beautiful things in the community, and if they could come in and assist people get their life back on track, I think that's the most ideal thing that we can do for our citizens, so they won't come back to the system again.
Okay. Now, you were raised in Inglewood, weren't you?
Well, my mother actually was a court reporter here at the courthouse, but I grew up in South Central LA on Gage and Normandy. But I was here all the time in Inglewood shopping, and because my mother was in court.
And your opponent is local, too. Now, here we have an interesting situation where two black females are running against each other for judge.
Yes.
One, Sharon Ransom is a deputy DA, and you were a public defender.
Correct.
Now, who entered the seat first, and who chose to run against who?
Well, I was the first one to put my name in for seat 97.
So Miss Ransom chose you as the opponent. She jumped in your race.
Yeah, but it was towards the end. Like the filing period was like November 12th, and then she came in.
Now, Victor Avila ran unopposed.
Yes.
And he's now a judge because he ran unopposed.
I noticed that.
And there were some races where up to 5 people were in one race.
I know.
And we know nothing about Mr. Avila because he didn't have to submit to a background check, correct?
Correct.
Anything you want to say to Jerry Abels, who runs the LA County Bar Association rating system, about how one person gets investigated and others don't?
Well, I think that there's two different issues there. Depending on what seat number you put your name in for, that's who runs against you. Now, as far as the LA County bar ratings, I have seen some people rate it well, and I've seen some people treat it very harshly. So I do think that the criteria for the ratings does need to be reevaluated.
Well, what I was speaking to is that when you are unopposed, you're not even being rated. You have no rating. So no one knows if Mr. Avila was on his way out of the DA's office because of something or getting ready to get a promotion. So what I was saying is that any thought, and you don't have to answer that because you're currently running a campaign here, but just thought I'd ask.
Oh, well, I think it's important for anyone that's on the ballot for us to have information about who they are.
Yes. And I see we have a couple of calls coming in. So, we have Miss Molly Bell. Would you guys mind taking a few calls here, Miss Henderson?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, good morning, Miss Molly Bell. How are you?
God bless morning. Can you hear me?
I can, loud and clear.
Okay, reparations in memory of our ancestors. Before I ask my question, I just want to thank you, Attorney Carrie Harper, for having Philonise on earlier. You were the one that really, I had a chance to meet him when you had them in Pasadena one time, the whole family. So thank you for that, doing that. Now, my question is, since our new nominee for the president of the United States is Kamala Harris, who was a public California state attorney, and she was a prosecutor, for the state. I usually don't vote for prosecutors. Is there a real difference in being a defense attorney and being a prosecuting attorney? And if it is, can you guys jump back and forth? I'll listen to your comments off the air. And Attorney Carrie Harper, thank you so very much for taking my call.
Well, thank you, Miss Molly Bell. And Mr. Floyd is still on the line, and we're going to get back to him after we allow the judicial candidates to answer that question. So Miss Molly Bell wants to know the difference. So the prosecutors, Miss Molly Bell, they lock folks up, and the defense attorneys, they defend them. And the prosecutor's job is to represent all of the people in the state of California. The defense attorney's job is to zealously represent the one person that is being accused. So the prosecutor's job is also in the interest of the defense attorney, not just to lock him up, but to say we're not going to seek to do that, or we're not going to charge. Anything the candidates you guys would like to add?
I was going to say, too, it's important to look at the prosecutor's track record, who they are, what their integrity is, and you're looking at what they have done and how they perform, what their values are, to see who they are. And the same thing for a defense attorney that's running.
Okay. And you bring that up, and is there anything that you want to say about your opponent's track record? Because you actually have 2 more minutes left on your equal time, so I'll allow you to go ahead and do that.
Well, no, I wanted to just share my background and experience, if that's...
Sure. I asked Ms. Ransom to give something good about you and something that she didn't think was that great about you when she was here. So I'm going to give you the same opportunity, but you use those 2 minutes how you want.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I know that Ms. Ransom and I both have worked in the court system for a long time. And so I don't know her very well. So I would say, as a defense attorney, you have a lot of experience being under pressure because you have a lot of clients and you deal with a lot of different things that come at you because you have large caseload. And as a public defender, you see a lot and you deal a lot with the public. And so I have a lot more experience dealing with people firsthand. I don't have anything necessarily negative to say about her, but I do feel that as a public defender, you work under heavy pressure and you have to perform and deal with a lot of people. And so it creates patience, it creates discipline, and you have to passionately fight for people. And so I think it's amazing to be able to come to the bench and bring diversity even in the background, because traditionally there's been more district attorneys that have been selected as judges. So to get the opportunity to have more public defenders and people from various backgrounds, I think brings diversity to the bench as well.
Okay, well said. I mean, you seem so nice. But heavy is the head. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. How are you going to feel when you have to drop the hammer on folks? You're going to have to put some folks under the jail.
Well, people ask me that all the time. But as a woman, you learn to wear many hats. You learn to be nurturing when you need to be. And then I know how to be firm when I need to be firm, because in my line of work, you represent all type of people. And sometimes you deal with hardened people who you have to correct and set boundaries with. And I've had to do that as a public defender. So I am able to be kind, and I'm also able to be firm when it's needed.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Napolitano, anything that you want to follow up with Miss Molly Bell's question?
Yeah, well, I think the question goes to exactly what I was saying earlier, and that is where you have one person doing one thing for many years or the other person doing the opposite for many years, either being a prosecutor or public defender, that again, that diversity of background informs pragmatic decision making. You got to be careful for folks who have done one thing for many years of being in a rut and getting that explicit or implicit bias that comes along with that, where you're only seeing things from one side. You got to be able to see things from all sides to make good decisions. And that's why when you ask me, why I want to be judge, to me, my strength is as a decision maker. As much as I enjoy being an advocate, I have great experience being a decision maker.
Okay, so we'll go back. We have another call. We have Sheila, who has a question about incarceration law. Good morning, Sheila.
Yes, good morning. The question I have is, what are we going to do for the ones that's been incarcerated for many, many years up under the old laws in 1980 and 1990 that has been doing everything that they have supposed to be doing to follow the rules and regulations, the law that's still in prison, to be able to have the opportunity to come home, that's been doing the work, that's been following all the rules and regulations, that has not been getting any trouble? Why are they still incarcerated? Who is going to help those that needs the opportunity to come home one day? Because I have a cousin that's in that position that should have been home a long time ago, that's been in prison close to 40 years.
Wow.
Who is going to help those?
Well, do you have an
that should
appellate?
have been coming home.
Do you have an appellate attorney? Do you have someone?
Excuse me?
You have someone working on the appeal for your cousin or family member?
No, I don't. There's no one that's working on their case, but they're supposed to go up before the parole board, and I'm feeling, and they feeling, and the family is feeling that there's absolutely no reason why they should stay in prison.
Well,
they should be granted to be able to have a date to come home.
We'll ask Mr. Napolitano, who works with parolees, what would you suggest Miss Sheila do?
Absolutely. And please reach out to me, and I can do an evaluation of his case and see what the likelihood is or not, where he is, why he might not be getting out. Folks who have been in for many, many years, one of the things you got to do programming. You got to internalize that programming, educational upgrades, vocational upgrades, stay discipline free for at least 5 years. Also stay substance free for 5 years. Those are the general parameters. And so I'd have to look again, case by case, have to look at that case and see why he isn't getting out. And there's the other issue that you run into is mental health issues and addiction issues and being able to address those. So I would love to be able to evaluate that, but those are the things that hold people back.
Give Miss Sheila your number she can reach out to you at.
Sure, 310-880-7500.
And you're going to... Go ahead.
310-880-7500. I don't have the outgoing message that Ms. Henderson has, though.
You don't have to say that's okay. But you're going to give her a free consultation, right?
I will.
Okay. And Ms. Henderson, where can the voters reach you at if they have more questions about your many talents, both on the bench and singing, and why you should be a judge, if they want to call you and ask you about jumping the shark? I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing you.
Well, everything, my Instagram, Facebook is all LaShae for Judge. So feel free to send me a message on Instagram or Facebook, and I will respond.
Okay, so is that a F-O-R or the number 4?
The number 4, LaShae, number 4, Judge.
Okay, so no calls to you directly, just through social?
Through social media, and then also on my website, which is LaShaeForJudge.com.
Gotcha. And Philonise, you're still there. You had a couple of things you wanted to add before we go to Steve Harvey and LaDae Lamar.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The number one thing I wanted to let people know, don't sit on the couch. This is something that we need people to get out and have an understanding that they need to get out and vote. And don't go to the polls trying to make an emotional vote. I want you to get there and stand on business when you make this vote. And I understand things that people said about Kamala Harris. Throw all of that away. Right now, you're not trying to go back. He's trying to take you back to the Jim Crow era. And that's what a lot of people need to be focused on. We need to get out and represent ourselves, because right now Kamala is trying to deliver you the freedom that you need, because that man on the other side, he put everybody in there. He's dismantling everything. And he was doing that the first couple of years that he was in there, and that's why he didn't want to leave the office. If we get out, we can do things as one and unify, and we can be dominant, because it's the people who God has gave grace to, the people who God has gave the opportunity to be able to walk this land and be free. They say this is the land of the free, home of the brave. We got to prove it to ourselves that this is the land of the free, the home of the brave. Otherwise, we will be putting ourselves back the centuries that our ancestors was bitten by dogs, Dr. King and Mr. John Lewis. They all fought. Malcolm X, they all fought. Everybody got out and did what they had to do to make sure we wouldn't have to be going through the things that we are going through. And another thing, when you think about all these people who've been put on a shelf that was locked up in prison for years, when they get out, and some who've been out for a while, they had the opportunity to get their voting rights back. Minister Farrakhan, he said it, and I respect that. He said, you are not that in your nature. You chose to be that way. You rejected the guidance of God coming from within ourselves. And a lot of people become Muslims, a lot of them when they're in jail. And I understand. But y'all need to get out and help these young people have an understanding of what we need to be doing, because we are not going back. Just like Brother Al Sharpton said, we are not going back.
And Oprah Winfrey said that on at the DNC last week, too. I think a lot of folks want to go forward, move forward, start a new page and not go back to any hostilities with the prior administration. But you know what I was going to ask you, Philonise, is what happened? This is a little off topic, but I've always wondered what happened to the young lady, and we're talking to Philonise Floyd, the younger brother to George Floyd, who was tortured on camera and killed by Minneapolis police in 2020. What happened to the young lady that filmed your brother being killed? Whatever happened to her? Because without that video, no one ever would have believed that murder occurred like that.
Yes, ma'am. She's still active. She's still around. The thing about, I don't even want to say her name, but everybody know her name.
Why, is she still a minor?
You know what I mean by, no, I just don't like engaging in people's names, because some people forget about, but we didn't forget about. We know who she is. I know people go through a lot because people make you a target because you're standing up for what was right. Everybody that was there, they all seen that my brother was struggling to breathe while he was on the ground. And she was there. She was recording everything, and she zoomed in and zoomed out, and you can see that he was struggling for life.
Right. Well, what happened to her, though? After all this happened, she had the power to change. I mean, she started everything with that video. Without the video, we'd been nowhere with the case. What happened to her? Where is she now? Do you know?
She's doing good things. She had a lot of people that came up to her and talked to her, not only just celebrities, but good people. They were proud of her for doing what she was doing. And they all said, if it weren't for you, we wouldn't even have the opportunity to get accountability. Besides Mr. Walsh extending a hand, too. But that video was the dominant thing. People seen what happened. They knew what was happening. That was a motion cinema picture that the world got to see, and nobody had an understanding that the world had stopped and everybody seen it. So by the video that she put out, and she was there and she had the opportunity to say, this is not right, I'm going to record it. And people was trying to say, let me check his post. You had a guy on the scene that said that he was like an MMA fighter.
Yes,
I
can't believe that. You and your family have handled that situation with so much grace. And I hate to interrupt you. We have a hard break at 6 a.m. and 30 seconds.
Yes,
and I appreciate you calling in, Mr. Floyd. We'll talk soon, okay? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.